woman full of love, a woman who nurtures mercy, a woman who has made herself totally available to God. Determined walk. Her step is firm but at the same time gentle and light. Attentive walk. Her gaze perceives and welcomes and lets in the God of life that dwells in her eyes. Nothing in her hinders God. Joyful walk. Life is hard for her and her people, but her heartbeat goes from hope to goodness in an uninterrupted, fruitful movement. That is why she was chosen. That is why she now walks steadfastly, attentively, and joyfully. The woman full of love. Her name is Mary. She sets forth in search of Elizabeth. She cannot stand still. Elizabeth needs her. Hundreds of decades, thousands of experiences have passed, and millions of people have walked the earth. And today, the world and the way of life are so different and yet so similar to how they were before. Harsh yet precious as before, the progress, the rapid pace, the skills, the acidification of the oceans, the people who fall in love, the abandoned villages, the macro cities, the transport, the hurrying, the destruction of the Amazon, the economic crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, the quality of education and the poor teaching, the marvel of arts, the desertification of terrains, the starving people, the bad distribution of waters, the loss of meaning, self-centeredness, inequality between men and women, the beauty of the newborn, climate imbalance, the loss of biodiversity, family ties, the fate of friends, the loss of animal species, unemployment, anti-human policies, the absence of possibilities of development, walking in the woods, hazardous jobs, the enjoyment of dancing, war conflicts, the economy of war, the greeting of the neighbors, dictatorships erasing freedom, people who abandon their land in order to survive, the absence of God, calling God in so many ways, the silence, the rush and noise, the compulsive buying, the earth, the people, daughters and sons of God. This is our world, so precious yet so harsh, so human yet so dehumanized, with so much life yet so much death. Amid all this, there is the congregation. How to walk amid this complex reality immersed in such deep changes? How to listen today with new ears to perceive the urgencies, the discouragements, the absence of hope? How to dance in the 21st century, so new and so different, from our lowliness and from our being sisters? How to be with others, how to live for others, how to be with, to exist, and to live with God who sends us forth towards life and freedom? How to be handmaids of His heart, today like the woman full of love? A congregation full of love, a congregation that nurtures mercy, a congregation that makes itself totally available to God, a congregation that walks steadfastly, attentively, and joyfully towards an encounter with the humanity, a congregation that cannot remain still, a congregation needed by the youth, by the migrants, by the families, by the smallest and the most vulnerable in the society. It cannot remain static, like the woman full of love. July 2022, 21st General Chapter, a congregation that does not remain still, it does not get comfortable, nor is it impaired, nor gets discouraged, nor does it fall back on itself. A congregation that examines itself, renews itself. A congregation that once again embraces the gospel as its greatest treasure. A congregation that listens to the breath of the Spirit as though the first time. Go, I sent you, go forth to the encounter of your brethren. Share with them the experience of the personal love of Jesus Christ. July 2022, 21st General Chapter, a courageous congregation, a congregation that takes risks and frees itself of ties, a congregation that gives more space to courage than to fears, a congregation that focuses on possibilities, creates pathways of hope, and builds avenue where dreams can grow, A congregation that walks assured that a new world, a new church, and a new religious life are already being born. July 2022, 21st General Chapter, a congregation that is called to renew its identity, looking for the language, channels, stories, and rituals that can best express it today. To take care of life, the common home, the most vulnerable, reconsidering their way of life, going into the value of integral ecology. To educate to transform the world, living out passionately an educational program in which our best effort are invested into. To take care of and establish avenues for interiority, seeking new ways of spiritual growth from the demands of today. To live out each life stage with meaning and dedication. To continue building together a map of presence in the world, generating spaces for live-taking, opportunities, hopes, and concerns. To revisit our way of organizing ourselves to better serve today. Education that desires to value processes over results and accomplishments, that is not worried about churning gradually, that is more concerned of authentic and vital experiences than projects or ideas that does not transform at all. A congregation that desires that each handmaid of the divine heart live the experience of the general chapter in the first person while participating and working with others. A congregation that is concerned with communication because the general chapter belongs to everyone. July 2022, 21st General Chapter. Like the woman full of love, the woman who nurtures mercy within her, the woman who makes herself totally available to God like Mary, we want to walk, listen, and dance with others, for others, from the other. We are handmaids of the divine heart today.